In British boxing, a legendary name can be a fighter's greatest asset, or their heaviest anchor. For over a decade, Chris Eubank Jr. has polarized the fight game. To his critics, his unshakable ego and flamboyant showboating felt entirely unearned, a pale imitation of his father's eccentric genius. But if you strip away the theater and look at the raw anatomy of his career, a different truth emerges. Chris Eubank Jr. always came to fight. He took the risks, took the beatings, and fought his way through a brutal public evolution. Today, who had to learn from his heaviest mistakes to survive as a mature counterpuncher. Welcome to Counterpunch. Today, we are diving deep into the tactical genius. Let's begin. Before we even get to a single punch thrown in anger, we have to understand the psychological battle that came first. Not between Jr. and an opponent, but between Jr. and his own father. Chris Eubank Senior built his entire boxing identity on the idea that this sport belongs to the hungry, to the desperate, to men who have nothing else to lose. And so when his son, raised in comfort, raised with his name already opening doors, told him he wanted to become a professional fighter, Senior's reaction wasn't pride, it was dread. His argument was simple and brutal. Can a child raised in protection ever develop the spite, the desperation required to survive what boxing actually is? Senior didn't hide his fear behind vague encouragement. He pleaded with his son directly. Don't be Christopher. Just leave it alone. It's a chilling line when you actually sit with it. A father comparing a sport he built his own legend on to something closer to a slow-motion car crash. Terrified of watching his own blood trapped in the 9th round of pure attrition. The exact kind of fight that defined his own era. But Junior was stubborn. And eventually, that stubbornness wore down even a man as immovable as Chris Eubank Sr. The anxious father didn't disappear. He simply transformed. From that point forward, Senior would stand ringside not as a worried parent trying to talk his son out of the sport, but as a strategist watching every fight through the eyes of a man who understood exactly how dangerous this profession could be. Junior's professional career began in earnest in Manchester in 2011 against Kiril Sonko. And right from this first outing, you can see the foundational pieces of the style already in place. A high, athletic guard, paired with sharp, rapid jab thrown with real conviction for a debutant. What's particularly interesting about this fight is the dynamic at ringside. You can hear Senior's voice cutting through, actively coaching his son round by round from the apron. At one point, recognizing that Sonko's high guard was practically watertight up top, Senior instructs Junior to abandon headhunting entirely and go to work downstairs. It's a small tactical adjustment, but it forces an early dose of versatility into Junior's game. Proof that even in his first fight, he wasn't just a one-dimensional headhunter. A few fights later, against Michael Allison, we see a different trait emerge: instinct. The moment Allison shows even the slightest stumble, Junior doesn't hesitate, doesn't measure, doesn't wait for an opening. He swarms immediately, closing the show with a predatory finishing instinct that will become one of the most reliable weapons in his early arsenal. Every rising fighter eventually meets an opponent who exposes a gap between physical gifts and actual boxing intelligence. For Eubank Jr., that opponent was Tyion Booth. Booth wasn't an explosive puncher or a highlight reel knockout artist. He was something far more frustrating for a young athletic fighter. An awkward puzzle. Long arms, defensive savvy, and stiff, probing jab that, for the first time in Junior's career, neutralized the speed advantage almost completely. Watch the early rounds of this fight, and you can see Junior's frustration mounting in real time. His usual rhythm disrupted by a man who simply refused to engage on his terms. And then something shifts. At a specific point in the fight, Junior abandons the showboating entirely. No more theatrics, no more flash. Just subtle lateral slips designed to angle off Booth's jab, paired with whipping left hooks aimed squarely at the body. It's a quieter, more disciplined version of Eubank Jr. than fans had seen before. That sustained variation between head and body eventually breaks Booth down. The accumulated damage forces referee Ian John Lewis to step in and wave off the contest. But the real story of this fight isn't the stoppage itself. It's the tactical maturity Junior was forced to find in order to get there. Following the Booth fight, Junior embarked on a run of devastating performances across Europe. Wins over Suvinski, Warren, Hovard, and Ivan Juk each one showcasing explosive combinations and signature uppercuts that were quickly making him must-watch television. It was visually an extremely impressive run. Power, speed, aesthetics, all of it on full display against largely outmatched opposition. But that aesthetic dominance created a problem. It built a public reputation that hadn't yet been tested against truly elite-level craft. That test arrived in 2014 against Billy Joe Saunders. Saunders, a slick, veteran southpaw with elite ring generalship, did something none of Junior's previous opponents had managed. He simply refused to let the fight become a brawl. Frame by frame, you can watch Saunders use his jab and lateral movement to sweep the early rounds almost effortlessly, while Junior, visibly hesitant, perhaps overthinking the southpaw angles for the first time, waited too long to commit to sustained offense. To his enormous credit, Junior didn't fold. In the championship rounds, fueled by pure pride, he launched a furious late rally, proving an elite gas tank and real structural durability even in a losing effort. But the undefeated record was gone, and with it, the myth that this would be an easy, frictionless rise to the top. If the Saunders fight exposed Junior's limitations against elite craft, his 2015 grudge match against Spike O'Sullivan exposed something entirely different: his appetite for chaos. This fight was reckless in the most entertaining sense of the word. Junior made a deliberate high-risk decision to stand directly in front of O'Sullivan, exactly what the sport can cost. Junior's British title defense against Nick Blackwell showcased, in its early rounds, a widening and increasingly uncomfortable gap in class. Junior's accumulation of clean, heavy shots against a relentlessly brave but clearly overmatched Blackwell painted a picture that was becoming difficult to watch, even as a clinical boxing performance. And then comes one of the most striking pieces of ringside footage in Junior's entire career. You can clearly see Senior, watching from the corner, instructing his son to stop targeting Blackwell's head entirely and focus solely on the body. A father, once again, try and protect someone from the sport's worst possible outcome, this time someone else's son rather than his own. It wasn't enough to prevent tragedy. Blackwell ultimately collapsed and was placed into an induced coma following the fight. The aftermath permanently altered the narrative surrounding the Eubank name. A brutal, real-world reminder that every one of Senior's original fears about the sport were entirely justified. Following that chapter, Junior's career shifted upward, both in weight class and in opposition quality. Moving to 168 pounds, he captured the IBO title, a belt that drew its fair share of public skepticism, but that skepticism often overlooks the title's actual pedigree, having previously been held by names like Floyd Mayweather and Gennady Golovkin during their own respective careers. The clearest evidence of Junior's growing maturity came against the notoriously durable Arthur Abraham. Rather than chasing the kind of early knockout that had defined his European run, Junior showed calculated patience, applying constant inside pressure round after round, and methodically outworking a fighter who had built his entire reputation on simply refusing to go down. It was, in many ways, the clearest evidence yet that the lessons from Booth, from Saunders, from years of hard nights, had genuinely sunk in. And this brings us to performance that represents the absolute apex of his entire athletic brawler evolution. Junior's dominant outing against Avni Yildirim inside the World Boxing Super Series. From the opening exchanges, Junior plants his feet with precision that completely nullifies Yildirim's forward marching pressure, refusing to be pushed backward or drawn into an unfavorable exchange. And then, in a single explosive sequence, he lands a thunderous left hook that sends Yildirim crashing to the canvas. Referee Leszek Jankowiak doesn't even bother with count. He waves the fight off instantly, recognizing immediately that there's no need to continue. It's the perfect visual bookend to everything we've covered. The same explosive, athletic power that defined his earliest knockouts, now married to the tactical patience and disciplined forward through losses, wars, and hard lessons along the way. Looking back across his entire body of work, you can finally answer the question Senior himself raised all those years ago. Could a son raised in comfort ever develop the hunger the sport demands? The film says he did, not by replicating his father's exact style or mystique, but by forging his own through evolution, setbacks, and a refusal to ever stop fighting his way forward. And that willingness to evolve has earned Chris Eubank Jr. a permanent, undeniable place in modern British boxing history.